Alfred Adler once said, "To be human is to feel inferior. Growing up is finding the courage to stop seeking everyone's approval." Are you truly living or just existing, trying not to disappoint anyone? Do you wake up already carrying the weight of needing to become the version of you that others expect? Every decision you make, the clothes you wear, the way you speak, even the dreams you chase, are they really yours or just attempts to be accepted? Here's the truth. The more you try to please, the further you drift from who you truly are. And when you live like that, little by little, it dims your light from the inside out. From an early age, you were taught that pleasing others was the fastest path to being accepted. As a child, you noticed that getting good grades made adults smile, that saying yes kept your parents calm, that not crying seemed more right than showing how you truly felt. And slowly, that's how your behavior was shaped. You began to hide your weaknesses. You pushed down your anger, masked your sadness, buried your confusion. You learned that to be loved, you had to be convenient. At school, maybe you tried to fit in by saying what others wanted to hear. At home, maybe you swallowed your tears just so no one would worry about you. And later, in adulthood, the pattern continued. You said yes when you wanted to stay silent. You smiled when you were exhausted. You held back when something hurt you just so you wouldn't seem weak. But that comes at a cost, an emotional burden that doesn't show on the outside. You begin to feel anxious just walking into a room, afraid to mess up, afraid to look foolish. You apologize for everything. You constantly criticize yourself. You spend your energy predicting what others will think, even before you act. And even when everything seems fine, you still feel empty inside. That's because, deep down, you're not living as yourself. You're living as who you think you need to be just to be accepted. I call this a lifestyle shaped by approval. It's a way of living that looks right on the surface, but carries a quiet price: the loss of your identity. And that's the moment when your pain starts becoming invisible and chronic. By now, you might have realized something. That quiet pain you carry with you, it's not really caused by the people around you. It comes from within, from the constant pressure to appear better than you feel, from the fear that if people saw your true self, they'd walk away. That's what I call the disguised feeling of inferiority. If you'd like to explore this idea more deeply, I've included the link in the description. Every human being carries a sense of not being enough. It's not a flaw. It's part of being human. But things begin to go wrong when that sense turns into shame. When you start to believe that to be worthy of love, you must hide your flaws, your mistakes, your uncertainty. So you begin crafting a persona, a social mask that tries to seem confident, strong, in control. But behind that mask, there's a constant fear of never being good enough. And the more you feed that persona, the more you suffocate your true self. This is the root of suffering. It's not just anxiety. It's not just fatigue. It's the pain of living a life where you no longer recognize yourself. And all of it stems from the fear of not being accepted. A fear that only grows the more you try to fit in. When someone spends their life trying to please others, they're not really seeking love. They're trying to avoid rejection. And those two things are completely different. The fear of being rejected often hides behind kindness, humility, or good manners. But in reality, it's a form of emotional imprisonment. A prison built with forced smiles, swallowed words, and silent screams no one can hear. I've seen this pattern repeat over and over again. People saying things like, "I became what everyone expected me to be, and now I don't even know who I am. I feel guilty just thinking about saying no. I know I'm fading away, but I'm afraid to let people down." All of these confessions share one thing in common. They come from the belief that, to be accepted, you have to give up parts of yourself. But that belief is a tragic mistake. You don't have to hide to be worthy. You don't need to disappear to be loved. And more importantly, you won't be rejected for being real, only by those who loved your performance, not your presence. When you stop pretending, you start attracting what's genuine. The fear of rejection only wins when you believe you have no value on your own. But you do. Even with your doubts, even with your limits. The first step is to start believing that. Freedom begins the moment you choose to stop being a prisoner of other people's opinions. When you stop asking, "Will they like me?" and start asking, "Am I being true to who I really am?" That's the foundation of what I call the courage to be disliked. If you want a deeper look in this idea, the link is in the description. This isn't about picking fights. It's not about living in constant conflict. It's about accepting that rejection is a part of life and realizing that hiding yourself just to avoid it isn't living, it's surviving. Many people think courage means being fearless, but that's not it. Courage is taking action even when fear is present. It's speaking up even when your voice shakes. It's standing your ground knowing not everyone will agree. It's accepting that you don't have to be perfect to be worthy. And when you start living from that place, something inside you shifts. You begin to breathe more freely. You realize you don't need masks to exist. And for the first time, you begin to understand what it means to be at peace. I won't promise it'll be easy, but I can tell you this with certainty. There's nothing harder than living a life that isn't yours. After so much time shaping yourself into what others expect, it's completely normal to feel lost. You might not even know who you are anymore, what you like, what you believe, what truly matters to you. But hear this. This isn't the end. It's the beginning. Rebuilding your identity doesn't start with huge changes. It begins with simple, honest gestures. When you say no and mean it. When you choose something just because it feels right to you, not because it looks good to others. When you finally realize that you don't need to explain yourself all the time, and you start to respect yourself quietly. Alfred Adler once said that each person is the author of their own lifestyle. There's a link in the description if you want to understand this concept more deeply. This means you can choose to change. You can stop being a reflection of others and start becoming a real presence in the world. But yes, that takes courage, because the world around you may react strangely. Some might criticize you. Some might walk away. Don't be afraid of that. What walks away was never truly with you. What stays is what sees your essence. Every authentic choice you make strengthens your identity. Every boundary you set protects your worth. And every step you take toward your truth restores your freedom. The biggest mistake you can make is believing you need someone else's permission to live your own life. No compliment is worth more than your peace. No applause is more valuable than your authenticity. Life doesn't ask you to be perfect. It only asks you to be genuine. So here's a challenge I want to offer you. In the next 24 hours, make a simple but authentic decision. Say no to something you usually say yes to just to please others. Share a real opinion, even if you're afraid of how it might be received. Or just stay silent When the world expects you to smile, choose something that brings you closer to who you are and a little further from who you pretend to be. That small act might seem like nothing, but it's actually the first step to rebuilding your inner freedom. And remember, the greatest achievement in life is being who you truly are without needing to hide. Alfred Adler.